All right. Today is July 16, 2025. This is the meeting of the Container Storage Interface Community. As a reminder, this meeting is public, recorded, and posted on YouTube. On the agenda today, we have a few CLs to review. And if you have anything else that you want to discuss, please feel free to add to the agenda. With that, I will hand it off to Shing to talk through this. Go ahead, Shing.
Actually, Sunny is here. Actually, those are the two PRs submitted by her.
Okay.
Maybe Sunny, you can talk about those two. I can talk about the last one, but last one should be easy.
Sorry, currently, what was the topic?
Oh, I added those two PRs that you submitted because you were running into those issues, right? You want to talk about those? Because we want to move this to GA. This is
Uh-huh.
for targeting. We're targeting this for GA in 1.34.
Yeah, and Herman actually sent me a change that seems passing, so I'm
Oh,
kind of
awesome. So maybe we don't have this problem. Come on.
yeah.
Okay, Herman, did you submit it? Because I saw Sunny, you were saying it passed locally, but it was not working when you submitted. Yeah, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. I opened a PR in this thing just
Did
to
did it pass?
yeah, I did pass. Just
Oh, okay, awesome. Okay, then we are good then. Because when I run it, I'm generating different files than what Sunny has. I don't know. Uh, kind of weird.
I okay. Let me reopen the pull request. But
Okay, so if passed, then we don't have a problem. I thought it's kind of weird to see
Uh,
those files.
both of them passing or just one of them?
both of them were
Maybe
passing.
Haman, you want to? I think Sunny's didn't pass, right? But if Haman's passed, maybe we know how to fix it.
So the main thing is that uh, like I said to Sunny, the make command has to be run from Go path. I don't know like how it is set up, but if you do that, then it does pass. I
Yeah, I
mean,
went from my Go path, but like it
Because I didn't have all of those generated files. Like I run it on mine
mhm.
because like, okay, I just tried to make some similar changes as Sunny. I didn't make, it didn't generate any extra files. It's just the Go mod
But
and the Go
when you
Sun.
say run from the Go path, you mean the Git repo is cloned into the appropriate place inside the Go path?
yes.
That's
Or
right. Yeah.
yeah, that's how I do it. I've never had problems.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like Sunny, you see you have those like files generated under, those libraries. I don't have those when I
Yeah, this maybe I tried the independent command separately.
Okay.
I didn't do the make because the make didn't work for me, so I tried a few things.
Oh, okay. Okay, so maybe we're good then. So then basically we want to move that to uh so we want to get that merged. Um
Actually, if you're going to do that, I might remove the GOMOD change altogether in that. Like, I mean, at least in this PR, at some point, I know that we have to probably bump protobuf library anyway, but I don't want to keep that change as part of this PR because all we are doing in that PR is moving the controller modify volume GA. I don't want to like GOMOD changes can go in separate PR if that makes sense.
Maybe we update that protobuf to 1.5.4 first and merge that and then change the controller modify volume.
Okay, but that's not necessary, right?
No, like if I just do make and I don't update the protobuf from 1.5.3 to 1.5.4, the pre-submit does not pass.
Okay.
I think that's your PR. Actually, you only updated that and it worked. I was
Yeah.
suspecting something else.
Yeah. I just took your PR and I just ran make from GoPath. That's all I did, and then I submitted generated changes like whatever additional changes it generated as of this thing, and then both the bills are passing. So actually, they already passed right now. So, but I was thinking that I could actually drop the GoMod change from that your PR. But if you think that that causes pre-submit to fail, then we might have to keep it, and that's fine. It's a minor bump, so it's okay.
So, yeah, this is a, so this next one, I think Ben is aware of this one. It's just we were initially thinking we don't have to rush to get it merged because we're not cutting a release, but we actually need to cut the release for the modify volume thing, right? So I think we just we can release them together.
I mean, the change to the error code description is it's advisory, right?
It's
It's
just
not
like a doc, yeah, it's just document. Yeah,
it's not
but I'm
mechanical. So I
saying
mean,
if we should go with something else.
we need to agree as a community that like we
Yeah.
want to document it this way, but like when we do that is irrelevant because
I know, but I'm just saying it goes with this other. I'm just saying because Sunny needs this modified volume change to go in to cut a release, so just go with that. I'm just saying it goes with.
but I'm saying whether this change goes in with a release or after a release has zero effect
Yeah,
on what people
I
do.
know, but I'm
So
just saying you don't really have any problem of making that change, right? Since you already.
no. I'm just like let's focus on the ones that have to get in
Yes,
by
yes.
by a
That's
deadline,
yeah.
and then take the other
I just
one.
want to. I was just want to mention that one. I don't think there's any controversial on that one actually. It should be straightforward. Yeah.
I don't think it's controversial, but like
Yeah.
we're gonna have to, read the wording and make sure we're happy with the wording, and they could have a few round trips of, change this,
Sure,
please,
sure,
and
sure. Okay, no problem. Yeah, let's move on. How about the modified volume one? You want to take a look of that? What is your opinion about that?
is there do we have a CSI change? Because I was reading the CAP like an hour ago to remind myself of the open issues there.
Sad, can you open that? Okay, this is what is the PR?
Oh,
Only look at the spec.md, right? Otherwise, it's too many.
what's I'm not actually in the Zoom, so tell me what the PR is, what the number is.
It's number 588. I think it's mostly just removing the alpha field um, annotation.
Yeah, but we're talking about adding new fields to this API, right? So I don't think it's
No,
appropriate to.
this one does not remove. This one just
This one doesn't, but in
yeah.
parallel, we are talking about
uh,
adding new fields to this API. And I don't think it's appropriate to declare an API GA if we know that we're going to change it. That's my stance.
Yeah, that's because of the whole topology thing, right?
The topology thing. I think we should do the topology change, let that soak, and then declare the whole thing GA. This idea of we'll declare the API without the topology change GA, and then we'll slip in the topology change as an alpha extension to the GA thing seems underhanded from a spec cleanliness point of view.
yeah, I agree with that. That seems right.
Can we move Kubernetes feature GA in that case?
Well, the CSI feature should be GA from Kubernetes feature to GA. I don't think we have ever moved Kubernetes feature GA when CSI is still experimental. So they actually, I think they were trying to make some changes in the cap and then make it more like how to say, kind of limit the scope of that change. I think Michelle says she's going to review it. I'm not sure if she has come
Yeah,
up to review that.
I feel like we're pretty close to being able to make at least some version of the topology modification change. I think the version of it that is a strict, like where the new topology is a superset of the old topology, so there's no concerns about scheduling. Like that felt pretty uncontroversial to me. And if we want to make that change, I feel like that could go in. There was a second story in the CAP that focused on the case of like the new topology is a subset, um, or at least a non-superset of the old topology, and like no one has any idea how to make that work other than to sort of say, well, that's not, you know, to basically do that in a proprietary way outside of the spec was the only idea that anyone really had that wasn't super complicated. So I
Do
don't know.
you
I would like to proceed with the controller modify volume topology change where the new topology is a superset and try to get that locked down and included because it sounds like it's valuable. It sounds relatively uncontroversial, and we should just say we're not going to touch the cases where the new topology might not be a superset of the old.
well, so they submitted two PRs, right? You want them to update those PRs?
What are the numbers there? Because I can
They
go
have
find them.
one is a five, I think 592 is the one that is modifying control modify volume.
Yeah. All right. I'm trying to pull that up. Okay. Yeah. Well, we can review this and try to get this one in. But then my stance is we need this to soak and keep it in alpha while it's soaking, right? And then once we have some evidence that this is safe and it's addressing people's needs and it's not buggy, then we should come back and declare it non-alpha or declare it GA.
Yeah. So the way this spec is worded actually, like where it expands the topology is kind of weird. It just adds a Boolean parameter allow topology updates, whereas I don't know, I feel like it should be more explicit that if we are going to update controller modify volume. So
Well,
so what
what are you saying? I mean, we need some input parameter that allows the SP to know that the CA supports this feature, right?
yeah.
Because this is something that if the CA didn't support it and the SP did it, it would be really bad. So the CA has to signal that it has this capability, but with some input parameter.
No, so if you I link the PR that we are considering probably, right?
But
Like
what's the number? I'm sorry, I'm not in the chat.
592.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm looking at.
So it just says in the request allowed topology update. That's it.
Yes.
That's insufficient, right? That is, I mean,
Well, it means that an old CA that doesn't implement this feature will omit that parameter and it will default to false, and that will be the signal to the SP to not exercise this feature, right? That's how the SP knows that the CA can't understand topology changes, is because that parameter is false.
no, this feature, this flag is designed that so the CO can tell the driver that that this controller modifier that submitting could trigger a topology change of the volume. Like that's
Right,
how.
right. It means that the CO understands that the return value of the new topologies and will process them correctly, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it doesn't the flag itself doesn't say that like okay, this is like user is trying to widen the scope of the topology. It's like it's just a boolean. It says allow topology update and then it's up to the storage provider
Yeah.
to decide what to do with it. Could it shrink? Could it like
Well, the problem is that the topology keys and values are not interpretable by the CO
yeah.
directly, and so like they're somewhat proprietary. And so, what is a superset and what isn't is difficult to determine, right? Like the fact that regions are larger than zones is a specific detail of certain clouds and the keys they use.
Yeah.
But topology does, I mean, Kubernetes doesn't know that. So it just has to say, well, I'm going to take the new topology and I'm going to take your word for it that it will not make any existing attachments invalid.
And so I was looking for like something like Boolean expand topology, like expand topology with the controller modify volume request that if it is set to true, that means that the SP will try and expand the topology of the volume, promote a volume from zone to region. Like so,
Well, the that Boolean by itself doesn't ask the SP to do anything. It just says if you expand it, I can handle that, right? There has to be some other key values in the actual parameters of the modify volume that tell the SP like I'm promoting this zonal volume to a regional volume and like please do that. And that can only succeed if when you return the new topologies, I can handle them as the CO, right? Because if an old CO were to send those parameters that said turn my zonal volume into regional volume, but set this flag to false, the SP would be expected to say, no, I can't do that because this change would change the topology and you don't understand what that means. So I'm just going to fail, right?
wait, Ben, sorry, say that again, the last part. I'm sorry.
So the actual conversion of the volume from zonal to regional will depend on some proprietary key value in the parameters of the controller modify volume,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's possible that an older CO could pass in those parameters to a new SP that says, please convert the volume, the zonal volume to regional volume. The SP knows how to do that, but because the CO is an older version that doesn't understand topology changes, it will say no or false for allow topology change. And that will be the signal to the SP that it should fail the request because it knows that that change can only be done with the topology change. And it knows the
Yeah.
CO doesn't understand the topology change. And so the only response is return error, right?
Yeah. No, I understand. I totally understand. I'm just saying that I'm just proposing to rename this allow topology updates flag to be more explicit, like expand topology.
Yeah,
Bool,
yeah, we can change the name, but it has it we have to make it clear that like setting that flag doesn't mean anything by itself. It's just a
yeah,
signal
yeah,
to the SP that the CO can handle it.
yeah, absolutely. I
It
understand
if
that.
the SP wants to change the topology in
Yeah,
response to the parameters.
yeah. No, yeah. I also want to rename it because I don't want people to abuse it. Like, so tomorrow, tomorrow somebody can very well use the same thing to, like change the topology completely of the volume. I mean, they can still, but at least then there
Well,
will,
so I think that there's the rub is that I think was it Alibaba Cloud? Is that the particular company that wanted to do this?
yeah,
Like
and yeah,
it is possible for them to restrict topology using this API change and using some out of band information where they happen to know that there aren't any attachments that will fall afoul of
yeah.
that particular change. So I actually think there is an intention to abuse the feature, but I think if we make the CSI spec clear that like COs are not expected to deal with that, and like if you want to do something in your SP that violates the spec, like you're buying all of the trouble that creates, um, then I don't think it really matters. And yeah, I mean, in that case, whether we rename the field or not isn't going to stop them. They'll still do it. Uh, but
Mm,
I'm okay with renaming it if it makes it more clear what our stance is.
mm. So in that case, like if that second use case that Alibaba had, so in that case, their user is on the hook to make sure that the workloads are scaled down, PVCs are detached before they attempt this thing, right?
Or they could determine before making the change that all of the attachments are on places that will still work after the change, right? That
Yeah,
they could just figure that out and say, yeah, we're going to do it.
but if they can't, then like the CEO will not take any corrective action.
Correct. That's the crucial bit is that we're saying the CO is going to assume that all existing attachments remain valid, which is only possible if the new topology is a superset of the old topology. And if that turns out not to be true, like that's the SP violating something. But once we implement that, certainly people can and will violate that particular rule because we have no way of enforcing it other than just saying it and saying this is the requirement.
This seems like underhanded too, actually. Like we are providing, like I don't know, we are not explicitly making a new RPC call for modifying topology, but we are like kind of like in an indirect way providing a way
Well,
maybe for them to shrink or like to create a topology that is not a
yeah,
super.
yeah. No, I agree. I agree. But like when we talked about how would we actually solve this and solve that case, because in principle it should be possible to make any topology change you want as long as the scheduler and the existing workloads like behave properly through that process. And the issue is designing a generalized feature where like you're going to change the topology and always doing that safely would require a complicated like three-phase handshake between the CO and the SP to do this correctly. And so we could design that, but the idea was, well, it's simpler to say, well, we're not going to deal with it and just say we're only relaxing topology, and that just makes the interface simpler. I think that was the inclination during the last meeting.
Yeah, no,
The alternative is to do something more complicated that actually solves both cases.
if the inclination is to only like relax the topology, that'll be fine. But clearly that's not the case. So I'm not sure. I'm on the fence.
Well, I
So
don't actually understand how. So the specific case that Alibaba spelled out was like there's a feature that only some nodes can implement and other nodes can't implement. But as far as I know, like nodes don't show up in the topology world. It's just zones and regions and other things. So I'm trying to understand like what would that actually look like from a topology perspective? Would you have like a bunch of nodes and like the before state is any node in the zone and the after state is like this list of 50 nodes that are in the zone, but like none of the other ones? Like I there wasn't enough detail about that second use case of how that behaves in a topology in the topology system where you make some change that restricts the set of nodes that the workload can run on.
yeah, I think we need something from Alibaba maybe. But if we were to just expand the topology, I'll be completely fine with that. Change to control modify volume. But that's not all what we are doing. So I
Well,
am
and you agree we have no mechanical way to enforce that it's only an expansion. It would be honor system.
well, if we rename if we name the flag, but yeah, we make it like explicit in the CSI spec, but people can still abuse this. So yeah.
Yeah, I am in favor of making it very explicit in the CSI spec that the new topology must be a superset of the old topology, and use the word must, not should, as the PR suggests, and to say, make it clear that it's not the CO's problem. But because there's no way to enforce it, people are going to do the other thing if
Yeah.
they can get away with it.
So yeah, then and then we should gather some other use case. I think Sunny, you said Google has some use cases. I don't know if AWS has a use case where a EFS zonal volume can be promoted to regional. So is there a use case from Google perspective this one on this one?
Boy, can we take a regional volume and demote it to zonal? That would be an interesting question. Is that a thing that's possible?
I think one thing is that, for example, if the original volume is not supported in this region or zone, and then we added support.
Original volume was not supported in.
For example, in the zone, and then and then we added the support in that zone.
You mean like it required some hardware that didn't exist and then the hardware got installed and so now it works? Is that kind of change?
Yeah.
Okay, but that's an expansion. Like what would be a corresponding restriction that we might actually want?
Sunny, in that use case, does that require the volume to be moved, or is it just move? The volume doesn't move, it's just to make some other changes, so then
The
supporting the zone?
AWS doesn't have a use case. Like EFS volumes cannot be converted this way.
I was just wondering the case that Sunny was saying, so volume not supporting a zone, then add a support. I wonder,
Or
does
there's
that
other case that may change topology.
does that involve like moving the volume, or is it doesn't the volume does not move? I guess that's my question for that one.
I mean, most hyperscale storage systems, they can move data around transparently. It's a question of like, can a workload attach to that volume from this set of nodes that are represented by a topology? And that's usually a function of hardware. Like, do those nodes have the hardware to do the job, and are they physically close enough to a place that has the data?
And there is another case is like this volume is not supported for this machine type, and then we add the support.
But how are machine types represented in CSI restrictions? Is there a concept of like the
I think
volumes work in this zone on this subset of machine types? Does that show up as a topology constraint?
I think we added one to on the machine itself to indicate like this type is support.
Right, but like
And it should not
how
matter.
does the scheduler process that metadata when it's trying to schedule a workload that needs to attach to a volume? How does it know that like this workload can't attach to this volume on this node?
We check if the node has has the topology.
It is topology. Okay.
Yeah.
Looking through the like also the vSphere case, for example, where you can move volumes between data stores. The still because the data has to be copied from one data store on one host to the same, like the the data store has to be connected to, like the one that is being moved to the same host should have access to both the data store. So in principle, unless you take your disk and move it, like physically attached to a different piece of hardware, it's not possible to do this what to that disjoint kind of
Yeah, it's
migration
like
where you.
still like underneath, but that's like kind of underneath, right? There's still some migration happening underneath, I think.
Yeah, so the
Um,
most use cases like are like you're just expanding the topology. I don't know, like, yeah, we need probably Alibaba people to yeah.
Well, I think we should have a stance as a community about whether if everyone's all right with saying this is just expansions, just topology relaxations, and we implement it and write it that way, we all have to understand that like we can't enforce that really. And so like, are we okay with doing it like that? If everyone just sort of nods their head and says, yes, only expansions, only relaxations, because it opens the door to dirty tricks that actually constrict, right?
I'll
And,
have
and I don't know, I don't think we can do anything about that.
I'll have to read their cap actually, like where they propose the second use case. Did they expect anything from CO for that use case? What was the like? I, I don't. I forgot.
I got to do a time check. I'm supposed to be in another meeting.
yeah.
Did we cover everything we needed to, Sheng? Do
Yeah,
we need another off-cycle meeting between now and next month?
yeah. Probably because we're kind of getting close to the deadline, right? The code
Yeah.
freeze is coming. I think it's July 24th. So
One thing we can do for control modify volume, I know that the VSC feature a lot of people depend on and are looking forward to it, and it would be a shame to keep it in beta disable by default for such a long time. we could consider beta enabled by default. If we
Beta
are,
anti, but I thought that's not. I thought the Kubernetes does not do that anymore, right? I thought that's the
no,
thing.
it does in some
Okay.
cases.
Okay, so we can talk about that. If Michelle is okay, maybe. So I thought there was no such thing anymore for beta API to be on by default.
It, it
Depends. Okay.
I mean,
We can
and
talk about it.
yeah, volume attribute class is a new API, so it could face challenge, but worth trying. I don't know. I don't have the
Let's
full.
talk to Michelle about it and see what we can do.
Yeah, we do enable beta and enable by default when we are modifying existing APIs, like
So you're saying in your environment in like OpenShift or just
no. Like SLNX change policy, that feature is beta enabled by default right now because
that's not an API change, right? That's
it does
considered.
have API change, but it is not proposing new API groups. It just
Yeah, this one is a bit big. Okay, well, let's find out if it's possible. I thought someone was telling me we can't do that anymore, but if we can, then let's try that.
so
Yeah.
yeah, AP if a feature has new API groups, like
Mhm.
like VSC has a brand new API type, volume attribute classes, then it's tricky, but we
Yeah.
can ask around.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see.
All right, thanks a lot, folks. We'll end it today for this one.
Thank you. Bye.
Take care.
Thanks, Todd.